Good morning. How did you get on yesterday? Potential shock result, but don't forget what I've said about these Champions League sides. Away from home could be vulnerable. Now, possible that you could have taken insurance out on the Saint Etienne lead, newly promoted, and then sat back and hoped for a 1-0. But do please remember, post-international, pre-Champions League, these sides are going to be more vulnerable than usual. Dinamo Zagreb, are they involved in Europe? Well, we can see very quickly here. It could explain the loss yesterday to Hajduk Split, but yet again, had you played insurance, you'd have been okay. And regular members will know what I'm talking about with insurance. Yep, Bayern Munich in the Champions League. How about that? 2 from 2. You have to be so careful this particular weekend. No coincidence. Champions League, lose. Champions League, lose. Back to familiar ground, the Premier League Cup. You could have taken a punt on overs yesterday. Look at all of this beautiful stuff. So please remember, one of our keys to overs, over 2.5 goal, under 2.5 goal success, could be the choice of competition. Inter Turku took the lead against Ekanes, but a very late equaliser was not on the cards. This is a relegation group now, and this is 3 points thrown away by Inter Turku, who quite literally bossed it. Not so much second half, but overall, well, my stats were more compelling than these. They certainly did boss it. 7 corners, 5 shots on target, but there was far more from my stats feed there. French League 2, just keep an eye on it. Probably not tradable at the moment, but get to know your newly promoted sides. They could be vulnerable, which is a reason that I hope you got involved in this play. Newly promoted Preußen Münster took the lead against Paderborn. And if you looked at the reaction from Paderborn to that goal, this is first half, by the way. 11 goal attempts, 3 on, 8 off. I hope you'd have had the initiative to take on this lead, because you'd have got a 1-2 from Paderborn. A really good fight back, it must be said, from the newly promoted side with home advantage. A very, very late 3-3 will leave the support delighted. But this was all Paderborn. It should have been a comfortable Paderborn win. Elsewhere, Bodo Glimt up to their usual mischief. No first half goal, though. Should have had you laying that draw second half if the draw odds were short enough for a 1.25 shot. Bodo Glimt score first. Draw odds will rise to about 8 or 9. Motor Lublin, newly promoted, got a nice win there. Sporting Lisbon, yet again. Look at the relationship between the odds and the final score. Same with Bodo Glimt, 3-0. So that is another example to you of how you can create an overs play. The pre-match odds. On to today, and it's great to have all of these beautiful elite leagues back after suffering the international break. Be a live chat webinar today at 2:30 p.m. Southampton Man United, just make sure Man United not wearing a grey strip, because you might lose if you wear a grey strip. Saints have been struggling after returning to the Premier League. That could continue today, but Man United, the evergreen, unreadable team under Erik ten Hag, you just don't know, and you can't rely on which Man United will turn up. Brighton and Ipswich, this is another example, like Preußen Münster, a newly promoted team showing signs of struggle early on. This could be a comfortable afternoon for Brighton. Crystal Palace are yet to unlock, really, that second goal this season. But they're very warm order today against Leicester. I think those odds are far too short for what Palace haven't achieved this season compared to what they did achieve at the back end of last season under the same manager, but without Michael Olise on this occasion. If Soccer Stats is a little short, this is what happens to you when you sell your best player, despite keeping the manager who produced the transformative results for Palace at the back end of last season. Let's see if I can find them. Sorry, it looks a little slow at the moment. Let's get to Crystal Palace. That would help. And this is what we see sometimes when players depart. This was under the new manager. This is the impact of the new manager. Look at all this goal scoring. Yes, Michael Olise appears now and again, but Matata's there, Eberechi Eze's there. Some other goal merchants are there. That's what I expected. It's like buying off Temu. That's what you expect, but this is what you get. It's an awful start. Where's that second goal? Yes, 3 out of 3 London derbies. Is the extenuating circumstances? We're out of the London derby pattern now for Palace. So the market's suggesting this is a redemption match, an opportunity for them to get back to that goal scoring that you saw at the back end of last season. Leicester, newly promoted again, could be struggling this season like Southampton. Fulham and West Ham, London derby, new manager for West Ham. As Les Dennis would say, not touching that one. Arne Slot, get him to buy you a lottery ticket because he's the luckiest manager on the planet, given that run-in that he's had, or the opening fixtures that he's had. He's now got another easy ball in Nottingham Forest, who are likely to be struggling to score that second goal if they do score first today. Man City have been imperious. You can't really argue with the odds, can you, given what they've achieved so far this season. Bringing it home when the odds suggest they will, with the relative ease. Look at this, 1-3 against West Ham. Pre-match odds 1.4, so they're even shorter today. So that puts that 1-4 into context, doesn't it? Aston Villa and Everton. Well, with Aston Villa, you'd expect them to punish Everton, who gave us a wonderful 3-figure profit for £6 return against Bournemouth. Now they've conceded, let me do my Carol Vorderman maths, 10 goals in 3 matches. Add to the fact that Aston Villa are starting to score away from home this season, which is good news for Unai Emery. You can expect them to get 2 or 3 today at home. Chelsea and Bournemouth is a fascinating fixture. Chelsea, you don't know quite what to make of, given all of the players, new players, and the 6 goals against Wolves. Don't know what to make of that. And the 3 late goals for Bournemouth, was that down to Everton being rubbish or Bournemouth having that fight to the death? French League 1, it's a Marseille derby. It's a Côte d'Azur derby. I'll be watching it from my yacht overlooking Elton John's house while I'm doing the live chat webinar. Not going to play a local derby, but Marseille at home are imperious. Monaco I'd be favouring here. Paris Saint-Germain got off to a great start this season. They're not missing Mbappe at all. He got his first goals for Real Madrid last week. Bundesliga is still young, hence we're going to have some of this. 2.3 the favourite, 2.5 the favourite. But we've got an odds-on favourite, Bayern Munich against Holstein Kiel. I think newly promoted Holstein Kiel. Now this could be an interesting one. Don't forget the Champions League impact. We've already had 2 1-0 defeats. And Bayern Munich last season were very sketchy pre-Champions League. It's going to be a fascinating match. Leipzig, I don't know what to make of them. They can beat Hoffenheim. Then they can have a couple of flaky ones. So let's have a look. Beat Bayer Leverkusen as well. And beat Bochum. So flaky, by flaky I mean, well, this is a 1.2 the favourite. You're expecting 3 or more goals. So that's if I'm being ultra critical, I was expecting more goals against Bochum, Dano, but we didn't get them. Bayer Leverkusen must win. We're likely to see a goal before half-time here, so that opens the door up to over 2.5 goals. If you can wait for 10 minutes or so, you might get some value. Don't forget, if you can wait 15 or 20 minutes, you could double the odds for over 2.5 goals. Certainly we'd expect both teams to score here today, and Leverkusen must get their first win of the season, or their title hopes could be prematurely dashed with 2 defeats or a loss and a draw in their openers. Bologna, Como, Don't know what to make of this one. Newly promoted Como could be vulnerable. Empoli and Juve, not sure what to make early season there. AC Milan and Venezia, newly promoted Venezia, likely to put up some stern resistance, but be done probably late on as they run out of legs. 1.13, so automatically with these two, you should have your eyes fixated on the possibility for goals, particularly goals before half-time for PSV Eindhoven. Not sure they're involved in Europe, but if they are, that's just something for you to be aware of in case they concede the first goal and in case they don't turn up like the side you expected them to be. Just trying to find the Netherlands here. So we'll just see if PSV have European football. Indeed, a certain Juventus. That is going to play on their minds, regardless of their odds today. At these odds, it's got to be laid if they've got a 1-0 lead, just for the Champions League factor. Don't forget Juventus, Champions League and away from home. We had 2 1-0 defeats yesterday, as I showed you, so be careful. AZ Alkmaar look reliable. Feyenoord, under new management, so still a little bit of a watching brief. Mallorca tend to be stronger at home, hence they can't be discounted in this match. It looks a tough one today, 2.7 Espanyol, Alaves. Sevilla, don't know what to make of them. They're not the top 5 Sevilla of a few seasons ago, that's for sure. Kylian Mbappe started scoring for Real Madrid, and he did it second half. You could have backed Real Madrid at pretty big odds last week against Betis. It took them a while to unload the goals. Kylian Mbappe, 67th and 75th minute. He's up and motoring. That does not augur well for Real Sociedad. This is likely to be similar to the Betis match. You're going to get some firm resistance from Sociedad, but what you're also going to get is a possibility of Champions League football for another away team. Got to be so mindful, particularly away from home. Real Madrid, as you can see there, playing Stuttgart. It's a recipe for disaster. You're away from home. Your away results have been a bit sloppy. Mbappe might be rested. You've got an upcoming Champions League fixture. Very messy indeed. Let's have a walkthrough. So you must be warned about these away sides in the Champions League playing today. Okay. Looks like the Austrian Bundesliga isn't really worthy of our attention today. Belgian Jupiler League, Anderlecht, Club Brugge, familiar names, but again, do check for European fixtures. That's the only reason at this particular weekend for any of these big guns losing or drawing. It will be this Champions League distraction. No, and it will be compounded by the post-international weekend we're having. You'll have some fatigued players playing for their country, having to come back, play domestically, and then having to show their best in the Champions League following. So it's a tricky weekend for managers. Pick the right team. You've got to put out a team you think will win, but you've got to put out a team where you can rest your big guns as early as possible. So those are the main matches today. I'll see you for a live chat webinar at 2:30 p.m. to welcome back the German Bundesliga, but do prepare for some cautious plays from me today, particularly involving European Champions League, Europa Conference League teams. See you at 2:30 p.m. for a live chat webinar. Full details will be at the usual places, at the research and YouTube and everywhere else. Have a great Saturday. Great to see the league football back.